So if you have any questions, you can shoot those questions now. If you have any questions, feel free to ask those questions now. Or else I'll assume that you have all gone through the code that I have shared with you, and you'll have all successfully executed that code on your machine, and you'll have understood how exactly things really work, right? I'm assuming that. Okay, perfect. So see, we have been writing our code here in the command line runner, and that's not good. This is not how you build applications. That's not how you work with the database through your command line runner, unless you wanted to build some test data initially to start with. That's a different story altogether. But then you don't do this, right? You don't call repositories usually. I mean the DO classes, you don't do that from command line runner. So let's set this application up in such a way that we must be able to use some very basic stuff here. We must be able to see by default, what happens here is that in case of a Spring Boot based application, if you want to really make this full-fledged web application with a user interface as well, then in that case, you can within the static folder or within the templates folder rather, within the static folder, you will be able to put your HTML files. For example, take a look at this. I'll write HTML and I say index.html. And then here I can just simply say h1/h1 and I'll say welcome. All right. And if I run this application, you see, I just need to go to localhost. And where is this getting started? Please see, where is this getting started? It's getting started on 8081. So I need to go to my Chrome and then I say localhost. I'll say 8081 and I just simply say index.html. You see, welcome. But this is static code. I cannot bring in some Java code out here. I cannot do that. I cannot start putting some Java code here. Okay. So if you want to do that, then in that case, you will have to work with there are various different framework options that are available. You have free marker template technology. You have got time leaf templating technology. You have velocity, which is again an old school, but then you do have option of velocity. Usually these days, it's all time leaf. You create time leaf based applications. So you create HTML templates here, but in between those HTML templates, you can plug in your Java code as well. You can refer to the objects of Java. So that's rendered to the browser, but then the execution happens server side. Well, I'm just giving you an overview. It's not that you need to read much into it. Just understand that we can very well build a full-fledged application here in our in our Spring Boot based application and Spring application. So what I'm going to do now is let's do this, so you don't start doing this on your own machines. Okay, what about, so you have been pulling my code and executing it on your machine, isn't it? You'll have not written or you'll have not done the same code on your in a separate project. That's what I believe. Correct? You're doing? Okay, no problem. No problem. Let's proceed further with this. So within the same main package, I will create a new class. I will create a new package rather. And in this package, I will give, the name of the package. First of all, the name of the package will be like controllers. And we have talked about controllers earlier. You see, now it becomes so easy for you to understand. And I will say, for example, customer controller, right? And in that customer controller, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mark this class as controller so that I can get the services of controller. I can get these services from where? From Spring Framework. So who is going to instantiate this class? Since I have given the annotation that at the rate controller, it is the it is the responsibility of Spring Framework. No, not Hibernate. Hibernate is no. See, as far as Hibernate is concerned, we used two things here. One is the repository, and the customer class was marked as entity. Customer repository was marked as a repository. These are the two things that is an entry point to us. Yes, it is the Spring Framework, right? So in general, it's a Spring Framework that will create an instance of controller, and I can very well give at the rate request mapping. You can see this at the rate request mapping, and I can say the request mapping is for the path. What is the path that I want to give? You remember in the servlets also we used to give the value. the path of the servlet, customer hyphen servlet, hello hyphen servlet similarly. So here I will give home, for example, right? And the function that I'm going to create would be, I just simply say response, or this, it is too early to talk about response entity. I'll just simply say string. And then here I will say HTTP or else. Let me put this as void and check it out. I'll say handle home, and in brackets I will write HTTP servlet request, and I will write HTTP servlet response. I'll say response. Okay. First, let me execute this as it is. I'm not returning anything back. So what happens here is that whenever I say slash home, it is this function that will be executed. So I'll say sout. Now you see, I have been doing sout a lot. I have been doing sout a lot, But now we will start getting into the specifics. We shouldn't be using system.out.println, and we must be using a logger. And you must use logger in order to see all of this. All of these lines that you see actually comes from the logger. So we will also use a logger, and I will say private static. All right, I say final. I'll say logger. You see, I will take the logger from SLF for J. This is the logging framework. And I say underscore log is equal to, I'll say logger dot, I will say logger factory, sorry, dot, and I'll say get logger, and the name of the logger can be customer controller, right? Because that's the logger that I'm using, right? Customer controller. This is the class in which I will be using a logger. And instead of using system.out.println, I'll say logger.debug, and I will say in home or handle home is executed. Okay, see, this is what I'm doing. So I'm expecting this to be shown on the console when I say slash home. Let's check it out. Let's go to Chrome. This is okay. Sorry. Here I'll say home. Now, the moment I hit the enter key on home, let me check. You can see this. Okay, nothing happens. Okay, slash home. Yeah, it does not execute. Okay, I know why. Because the logger by default is set to info. I'll close this. Now, when I say refresh, you see this handle home is executed. This is the info. Now, usually you do not give info unless you really want that to go into the log file, but we go debug, because I want to debug. I want to just simply check whether this line is getting executed or not. And what is the benefit here? I can stop all these logging automatically by just simply doing some configuration here, application.properties, and I can specify what is the level of logging. What is the level of logging? So I'll say spring dot logging, right, or SLF4J, spring dot level. Okay, I forgot the property. No problem. Mhm. I will pick it up from, yeah, logging dot level. Correct. This is what I can do. This is very interesting, by the way, friends. This is extremely interesting. So you see this now. What does this mean? I'll say by default logging.level.org. That means all the packages that starts with org, right? All the packages that starts with org their level of logging will be error. That means it will print it over here things only and only if there is an error. So only those logs that are invoked like this underscore log dot error, only error logs will be shown here or error logs will be printed. Logging.level.org if is equal to error. So any package that starts with org, but I'm overriding this on the next line. If it is org.springframework.boot.web.embedded.tomcat, now that's what I get over here. See, org.springframework.boot.embedded.tomcat. So if I want the Tomcat related stuff at the info level, then in that case, all wherever it has underscore log dot info, those will be printed. Now com dot, you see our own, okay, we have got com.pwc. So I'll say com.pwc. That means any package that starts with com.pwc followed by anything. Again, only and only error logs will be printed, right? Only and only the error logs. And what will be the pattern? It will actually print the line number along with the date and time, and it will also print the line number and the logger. And you see percentage LS for the line number and whatever the message of the logger is. So let's see this, let's run this and see the results. And okay, so SOP will be certainly executed, so that's not a good way of doing it. You shouldn't be writing SOPs, right? You shouldn't be writing SOPs. Now, let me close this, refresh this, and you see nothing comes over here. Why? Because I've given PWC to error. But if I give this to debug, correct? And then I go back here and I'll say debug. Now you see it's on debug. Now let me, so everything, debug and the levels lower than debug, I will be able to get them. You see this here? Okay, no, 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 no. Okay, debug, and I said com.pwc is equal to debug, and I did give debug handle home executed level.org by default is supposed to be debug. No, that shouldn't make a difference. Now you see there are so many logs because there are so many logs because I've kept a debug. You can see now the debug thing is getting printed. You can see that everything that is coming from org, this O stands from org, it shortens the name like this. But if I say error, then only and only if the errors are occurring, then it will come up. See, as you can see for yourself, now very few logs will come up. You see this? Only the info type and the debug type is coming up here. Debug type for com.p.t cpts. You can see the cpts. This is com.pwc dot training dot spring demo dot spring application, and there is a debug there. So the debug works. But in the controller class, I gave this spring demo application info and then started. Okay. But if I say home now, okay, why is it that home is not coming up? I am missing something. Com.pwc, it is com.pwc dot controllers. Okay, no problem. Let me check this. Controllers. Let me check now. Level.com.pwc.controllers, and then I said debug. I'm still not getting it. Log.debug, and then I say info. Well, no problem. Chalo, I am missing something. I was expecting that the debug should be, I must be able to get the debug stuff. Okay. So if I say info, I'm getting it, but I'm not getting the debug. If I give debug, then it's not giving me the debug part of it. So no problem. No problem. I must give, okay, if I say info, Nope. Nope. Okay, I'm sorry about it. I'll figure out, where I'm going wrong, and then based on that, we can discuss that point later. Anyways, but it's is it so? So at least take one point in this discussion. Take one point. One takeaway for you is that you better do not use. You better do not use what? You better do not use system.out.println. All right. You must always use. Okay. You must always use a logger. All right, and that too and only for the sake of if you really want to stop this info, then in that case you can go ahead and you can just simply change the properties here to error. Then in that case, even info will not be shown, only and only if there is an error it will be shown. So there are different levels of logging. There are different levels of logging. We will take that up in more detail later, no problem. Okay, so this is how it is. This is how it is. Customer line number 22, and we are getting this. So you see, we have got 8081 slash home. This is getting executed. Let me go back here to the customer controller, and if I want, I can use response dot send get writer dot. You remember we did write slash h1. Okay, it just takes a string. Now I will refresh this and show you the results. I'm expecting that when I say home, I get welcome there. You can see that here. But of course, this is not the way to do it, because how much of HTML can you write here in a function like this? So you will need, you can use JSP technology, you can use templating technology. In both the cases, the rendering happens server side. I will throw more light on this as we proceed further. Don't worry about that. But then you will write controllers. You do remember, right? We did talk about controllers. You remember this file, open, and then you remember this customer application. Which particular class serves as the controller here? Tell me which class serves as a controller. Take a look at this. Where is the controller here? Request processing logic is happening in which class? Customer servlet, isn't it? It's happening in the customer servlet. Correct. So what is the corresponding to customer servlet out here in our application? Tell me. In this application, what corresponds to customer servlet? The control logic is written over here, right? So you don't have to create servlets here at all. I repeat, in Spring application, you don't have to create servlets at all. It has got inbuilt servlets. I repeat, it has got inbuilt servlets, which does the magic of automatically getting these things executed. If you have got slash home, if this is the annotation that you have put, request mapping is the annotation that you have put over here, correct? And if you have, and this, when you don't put anything, automatically the method is equal to get method, right? This is not post. I'll say comma, and I say method is equal to, I can say, I'll write http method dot, I'll say get. You can see this, get, right? So I've got http method dot get. I found just method, okay. Request method dot get. It is expecting a request method, not the HTTP method, right? So the request method is supposed to be get, right? So this is how you can create controllers here, and we will discuss a lot about APIs and stuff later on. But then this is how it is. Okay. From here, you will be making a call to tell me now what is the next thing that we should be doing. The controller is supposed to make a call to what? Take a look and tell me. The controller is supposed to make a call to what? The service class. So shouldn't we be creating a service class here, a service package here? So I'll say package, and I will give the name of the package as services. So all my services will go here, and I'll say a class, and I'll say customer service. Got that? And this customer service will use an annotation called service, which is as good as a component, but it's just that it enhances the readability. You understand that there is business logic that will be implemented here. Business logic to be implemented here for all business methods, okay, with respect to customer management, right? With respect to customer. Okay, so once again, controllers here. What kind of logic will I be writing here, friends? Come on, tell me. Request processing logic. Now see, this is fast and this is easy, right? Isn't it? So see, this is the controller, customer controller. I marked it as at the rate controller request processing logic. Do I need to create a servlet? I don't need to create a servlet at all. And then where is my customer service supposed to be? Customer service is supposed to be in services package, and all my business logic will go here. So for example, I will have a business logic here called, I'll say public list of customer. I'll say get customers. So will you ever have your request processing logic, the controller class talk to the DAO directly? I repeat, will you ever have your controller class talk to the DAO directly, or it will always go through the service? It must always go through the service. Very important. It must always go through the service. So you see this, I am importing the required classes. See here, java.detail.class, and I need to. So this service in turn is supposed to talk to what? Service is supposed to in turn talk to. Come on. It is supposed to in turn talk to the DAO. So shouldn't I be customer writing here customer DAO, customer DAO? Should I be writing is equal to new customer DAO, or what is it that I'm missing here? Come on. What is it that I'm missing here? What is it that I'm missing here? Again, annotation. That's pretty. Yeah, you better say at the rate AutoWire, right? But better say at the rate because there are so many annotations. Which annotation will I use? At the rate AutoWire, right? So always give me as specific as possible. Give me specific answers. So I will do customer DAO. I will say return customer DAO dot get customers. You got this? See, right? You got this, friends? Very simple. So I go back to my customer controller here and I say handle home. Suppose on the home page, I want the list of all the customers. Suppose I want the list of all the customers. So I am not going to send all the customers to my user interface. I will not do that, right? I don't want to spend time doing that because, working with the HTML is beyond the scope of our training. Correct. So I will simply do what? I will simply invoke that function here. Okay. Actually, if it was real life, then of course I will have a good user interface created and I would have written customer listing here, right? But now I will write. So what will I wire this up? Customer controller must be dependent on what? The service. So I will write customer service here. What is it that I must put here? Auto wired. So that I can use customer service dot get customers, and this will give me what? The list of customer. I'll say customers is equal to, correct? I import it. Got that? And then I just simply say customers dot. I will say for each. I'll write system dot out double colon println. You got that? Right? Very simple stuff. Very, very simple stuff. And I'm going to go back to my command line runner, and I don't want this command line runner to execute. I repeat, I do not want my command line runner to execute. If I just comment this as a component, I mean, this is no longer a component for Spring now. Spring will not even look at it. I repeat, Spring will not even look at it. And even if it looks at it, it is not going to care to instantiate it. It is not going to consider this as one of the valid beans. It is not even going to, I mean, it will not even care to see which interface it implements. And hence it will not even care to run the run method at all. Right? So I'll keep this class as it is, but okay. So I'll clear the log. I will restart. And what am I expecting now? Whenever I go to home, I must be able to get on the console the list of customers. See, I am on home. I refresh. You see this? I'm getting the list of customers printed here as a result of this line. Any doubts, any questions in this? I have given you the complete pattern here now. I have given you the complete layered pattern. So instead of this, okay, I copy this as a plus spring MVC and layered pattern. I'm going to put this here. Please see. So instead of customer servlet, we have what? Customer controller, right? We have customer controller, and there can be several URLs, several mappings done on this customer controller. Then it talks to the customer service, that in turn talks to the customer DO and then MySQL. All right. But one thing, this customer DO does not talk to MySQL directly. Here in our case, since we are using Hibernate, what is happening here? Come on, guys. What is happening here? What is happening here? Come on. You do have something else as well. What is that? You have customer repository. You have customer repository. And this customer repository is a repository. The stereotype is repository itself, correct? And to this repository is attached, this works on. This repository is the part of what? This repository is a part of, oh, right? This repository is part of what? Spring Data JPA. Very good. And what is the implementation used? Hibernate provides the implementation, correct? So through appropriate classes, this implementation talks to MySQL database. So customer DAO talks to what? Come on, friends. Customer DAO talks to what? The repository. Take a look. I go back to my customer DAO, and this customer DAO is dependent on repository, and it is all of this is repository through which you're getting the point, friends. All right, you're getting the point, correct? So that's how it is. Okay, so I have shown you how to create a customer controller, and that's how it is. So I have commented command line runner here. I have commented. So nothing executes as command line. But when I go to Chrome and when I say home, customer listing comes back. Why? Because here I am returning back customer listing. I'm writing it back to the response, but then this is what I get on the console as a result of this. Okay, so this is the pattern. This is exactly the pattern that we are using. We did not write any presentation logic, which is beyond the scope of our discussion, but then otherwise, yes. We could have forwarded the request to some, instead of JSP, we could have forwarded the request to JSP or maybe HTML, right? Various different technologies, or rather view resolvers, those are known as view resolvers, could have been used. Okay, or HTML, right? There are ways. So I'm going to commit this code and I want you to do the following. I want you to see the way I have created request mapping, right? I want you to create a request mapping, okay, for path is equal to slash update name, right? No, don't do this. Don't do this. Yeah, okay, update hyphen name. This must be the path. Okay, this is okay. This is what you need to do. I'll say request mapping for update name. Now you know what is it that I want you to give me. Similarly, create a request mapping and then keep on executing from the service. From the service, you make a call to the DAO, and DAO we have already written the function which gets a particular customer request mapping. Create a request mapping for retrieving one single customer object. and write the response back, printing just the name of the customer object, the ID based on which the customer object is supposed to be retrieved comes as parameter to this mapping. Come on. Comes as parameter to this mapping. Come on. This is something that we have already done. First complete this. Forget about this one. Please complete this. Let me push my code and then you better copy paste this, or else if you want to make changes to the same code base, then in that case make changes and then you will have to commit your changes. Don't push your changes. I repeat, don't push your changes. Just commit your changes and don't click on commit and push. Just click on commit on your own local machine. If you pull my code and if you have made some changes and you want to save them, then click on commit instead of commit and push. Okay, otherwise whatever in fact you will not have rights to push at all. You just have read rights. Okay, or else the best thing would be to do is you create your own new project. Now you know very well how to create a Spring Boot project. Create your own, copy paste all the class, all the files and stuff, all the classes. You can just simply copy paste and you make changes over there. Just make sure that the port that you're using is not already in use. Got this? This is what you're supposed to do. You must and must do this task for me, and only then we proceed further. Okay. Assignment 2 or task to implement get customer. Okay. Get customer based on parameter. I am pushing this code. You can take the pull. Yes, it's there. Get started, friends. Get started.